So the American boxing last night was not on Box Nation. I had to catch a stream of it. I watched a French stream, so I wasn't really caught up with the commentary because I don't speak French. Way. So watched Andre Berto first. He was unimpressive, to say the least. He done what he needed to be done to win. He didn't get the stoppage. I think he should have got a stoppage win if he wanted to show he was actually going to be somewhere in the division, but he didn't. Upshur had a decent go at him. He tried. He showed heart. He did what he needed to do, really. He was never expected to win, and he ended up getting busted up. Not too badly, but he got beat up a bit. And Berto got the decision victory. No surprise there. I think the judges give him like 2 rounds. I think you can make a case for him having like 3 maybe. But Andre Berto, he was I don't see where Andre Berto's going to go in the near future, because the only thing I can see him doing is getting shipped in for someone else to beat up on, and it depends who he wants to do that against. Kell Brook is a possible opponent, but Eddie Hearn said no, he's past it. Imagine that. Eddie Hearn say no, he's not a good opponent for my man. Brandon Rios, that'll be an actual good fight. It'll be a crossroads fight for both. And there's obviously loads of different people in the division you could fight. Danny Garcia, he's obviously going to move up at some point. Fights like that happen, and it just depends where Andre Berto wants to go. If he wants to make his way to another world title shot, I don't know exactly where he thinks he's going to get it from, because of that fight, I don't see who's going to give him a world title shot, to be honest. Especially not Mayweather. But we'll move on from that, and we will talk about Lucas Matthysse versus Roberto Ortiz. This was what happened when you got, 2 guys who one of them's a world level fighter, the other one is a overhyped domestic level fighter with a pumped up record, and it just showed straight away really. Ortiz was defensive, he wasn't doing his same game, he looked scared in there, and that was basically the story of the fight really. I can't really go into much detail because it only lasted 2 rounds. Lucas Matthysse, I didn't even think he landed any real good, massive shots in that fight. Neither did Ortiz, but he got put down with a body shot, and it didn't even look like it was an absolute beast of a body shot, but it just shows how heavy-handed Lucas Matthysse is, and just shows that even if you're not ready for it, any body shot can put you down, and that was the case with this thing. Matthysse lands the body shot, Ortiz goes down, and he starts to try and get up at the count of 9, and the referee had every right to really call it off. You can't really say it's a great victory for Lucas Matthysse, because I expected Ortiz to last longer, to be honest, but he didn't, and it was the bare minimum Lucas Matthysse had to do. That's what he needed to do. He'd done the bare minimum to get through that fight, win that fight, and win it by knockout really. He didn't really have to do anything. It was just over in 2 rounds from a body shot, so you can't really moan. Lucas Matthysse was happy, and he just got called out by the winner of the next fight, which we'll move on to now. So Adrien Broner goes on and beats Emmanuel Taylor by unanimous decision. I expected and picked Adrien Broner to knock Emmanuel Taylor out, because if you look at it like this, a 3-weight world champion versus a guy who has not turned it on as a professional like he did as an amateur, you really expect the 3-weight world champion to take this fight, because a guy like Emmanuel Taylor should be his bread and butter, but that was obviously not the case. Once again, I've overhyped the power of your man Adrien Broner, and there's still a lot of problems that Adrien Broner has to address, but we'll come to that in a minute. Emmanuel Taylor, for me, shown heart, he's shown good speed, hand speed, and he kept going. One of the major problems with Emmanuel Taylor is he's got a bad chin, and that is something that I think Adrien Broner should have capitalised on, but he doesn't have the work rate to do that, and it was an unimpressive victory for me, The most impressive thing he done all night was the uppercut that dropped him in the final round with 10 seconds to go. I needed the stoppage to win an accumulator bet, and he let me down, Adrien Broner, again. Adrien Broner is one of these guys who, no matter how many times I back him, no matter how many times I believe in him, he just lets me down every single time, and it's getting to the point where I don't know what's going to happen next for him, because he obviously called out Lucas Matthysse, and that's not going to be an easy fight for him. it is worrying because he's still got a lot of problems, Adrien Broner. But I'll give him a shot in that fight, and I'll talk about why. But still, he's got a lot to do, Adrien Broner. He's still flat-footed. He's still pulling back. He's still starting too squared on. He's got poor head movement still, and he still doesn't use a jab. There's a little checklist of things he needs to do, you know, if he's going to beat Lucas Matthysse. Can he do all that in like a few months? I don't know. Lucas Matthysse, though, like I said, he's got a shot to beat Lucas Matthysse, because Lucas Matthysse, what nobody wants to admit is, he's a guy, and he's one of my favourite fighters, he's a guy who always falls at the highest level. He always fails at the highest level. He can be outboxed, and he can be robbed. You add all them three in, and Adrien Broner has a shot. If you look at it like this, Adrien Broner's a freeweight world champion. I understand he's probably, if you look and said, you've got to take the title from the title holder, he's probably only a one-weight world champion. But Lucas Matthysse is a zero-weight world champion. The best he's done is held the interim title, and I don't really respect that. But yeah, you know, Lucas Matthysse is going to be a hard fight for Broner. I don't really expect it to happen because I know boxing, but if that happens, big respect to Adrien Broner, because he's going straight into the lion's den, and it's going to take a lot of improvement and a great fight from Adrien Broner to beat Lucas Matthysse. And you can call Adrien Broner a lot of things. You can call him a dick, you can call him a cunt, you can call him a silly bastard, but one thing you can't call him is a coward, because if he goes in and fights Lucas Matthysse, he's actually going in and fighting the number one guy in the division, and in my opinion, over Danny Garcia, even though Danny Garcia beat him. But I think it says wonders for Adrien Broner that he's actually willing to get in there and fight him. If it actually materialises, it's a whole other issue. But we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? There's other people out there for Broner still. He could still fight Lamont Peterson. He's a bitch. He could fight Danny Garcia if he wanted to. I mean, I would expect him to be able to beat Danny Garcia personally, but yeah. So Adrien Broner needs a lot of improvement if he's going to win this fight with Matthysse. Otherwise, I don't really know what he's. You see, he's at that point again now where he's going to have to sink or swim. He sunk last time he fought Marcos Maidana. Will this be his redemption fighting Lucas Matthysse? But just thinking about it, it's a good fight for Matthysse too, because he can get help from Marcos Maidana in preparation. They can talk about tactics. He's got the work rate, he's got the power, he's got, he's not got great defence and he's not got great speed and everything, but he can box a bit, and he's going to be a tough fighter for anyone. And if he comes in on the night with a great game plan, it's going to be hard for him. If he comes in on the night the same way he fought against Danny Garcia, it could be Adrien Broner's fight. That being said, Adrien Broner's not that good either. He's the one who always lets me down on the highest level. So if I pick Adrien Broner, you could be looking at Lucas Matthysse winning the fight. So I don't know. Tell me what you thought about these fights, and what you reckon about Adrien Broner fighting Lucas Matthysse.